Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to dive in to how I spent my £500 budget last month. Okay, that's a little bit of a lie. It was the month before last, but it's taken me a while to make this video. I had some Excel drama, I had to pay for an Excel membership, just sat down to film half an hour ago, couldn't find the document, I had to redo all the pie charts, but we're here. Here is how I spent my £500 on my Monzo. I will say that the month after this, I did not stick to my budget and I spent around £770. My goal for this month was 500 and I did stick to it, so let's dive in. I filmed the same video in October of 2022 and it is so interesting to see how the figures have changed, so I'm going to compare some points from that video too. Okay, first up, main overview of how I spent the £500. You'll notice that the grand total is £503.44. That is because I randomly got paid £5 and I cannot for the life of me figure out what it is. I think it was maybe a Monzo referral. I have a link down below, but for everyone that signs up to Monzo through my link, I get £5. Sometimes they run special offer and it's £10. Anyone can do this. This isn't because I make videos or anything. Anyone that has a Monzo can refer their friends for £5. And I've made quite a bit doing this. I feel like I've made at least 80 quid. I'll try and remember to put it on the screen. Anyway, so that gave me a little bit extra to spend. The biggest category was groceries, which I think is where it should be really, and that was £240. Back in October of 2022, I spent £106 on groceries, and I remember in this video saying that Nick had done a bit more of the grocery shopping that month. Back in the 2022 video, I did a big Aldi food shop for £53. That was a big food shop. That just would not happen now. I remember back in the day going to Aldi or Lidl and just picking up whatever I wanted and it coming to about £50 or £60. Now the same shop is closer to £100 just for picking what you want. In terms of where I shopped, last month I spent £170 in Tesco's. This really can fluctuate. Obviously I did my big main food shops in Tesco's on this month. Sometimes it's in Aldi, sometimes it's in Lidl. My closest Aldi and Lidl are over where my mum lives, so if I happen to be there on the weekend with Nick, we'll do our big food shops in Aldi and Lidl. I would way prefer to go to Aldi and Lidl, but the Tesco's is closer to where I drop my baby off for childcare, so I did, however, do one top-up shop in Lidl, which was £25. I did a little top-up shop in Waitrose for £20.95. Some shopping in M&S, £15, £5 Holland Barrett and £4 in Sainsbury's. So those are my groceries for the month. I probably could try and get my grocery bill down. I never used to waste food at all before I had a baby. It basically started when I got pregnant and I started getting really bad food aversions that I would suddenly start wasting food when I had literally never wasted food before. I was so anti-food waste and I had the time and resources to make sure I monitored my fridge and didn't waste anything. But since having a baby, sadly things do get wasted. I buy things that only the baby uses and I don't get through them enough, like even the smallest milks I don't get through enough in time. So yeah, I probably could get my grocery bill down somewhat by being a bit more organized and investing a bit more time, especially like once the baby's asleep, maybe doing some batch cooking. But I am also at the stage of my life where, you know, health is wealth and I want to buy nice food for my family, so it's always a balance. I have recently started getting these £20 fruit and veg box delivered from my local greengrocers and they are amazing. The quality of veg is so great. That's what I will say about some budget shops like Asda. The fruit and veg is just not good. It all goes moldy within a day. So yeah, I'm trying to balance that at the moment. Back to the overview. The next biggest category was eating out. So last month I spent £102 eating out. The biggest part of this was Domino's and it was £36. That was just one Domino's. Next up, I spent £19 in Tim Hortons and everything else was much less. In my October 2022 video, I spent a lot in Starbucks, but you know, we are not shopping in Starbucks these days, guys. Back in my 2022 video, I spent £49 in Starbucks on takeaway coffee. But I thought it was worth mentioning because I got a lot of stick on that back in the day because yes, I had spent 10% on my monthly budget in Starbucks. Putting their ethics aside for one moment, I do stand by the fact that you should spend money on what makes you happy, and most of the criticism wasn't coming from people saying that Starbucks wasn't an ethical company. The criticism was coming from people saying it was a waste of money. You know, they're like, don't eat too much avocado toast and you'll be able to afford a mortgage type thing. But for me, at that time in my life, getting me out of the flat when I worked from home all the time was worth it to me, £50 a month. So yeah, recently I'm getting my takeaway coffee from Tim Hortons. The other coffee places I can see on this list are Blank Street is definitely a coffee, number 16, Paperback Inn, Serpentine Gallery, this place and this place. So it was £46 on coffees, and all of those except Tim Hortons and Blank Street were independent. So that's a much better reflection of like my ethics and where I want to spend my money, and that is something that I'm trying to lean more into. I feel like when I first started all this budgeting content online, I was a bit more like aware ethically, and then like life just hit me and I sort of slid into bad habits, and I'm trying to just rebalance that. Nobody's perfect, but you know, it's always good to try and vote with your coin and shop at places that you want to support. The next biggest spend was shopping. I spent £63 in shopping, and £43 of that was in Home Bargains. This is not something I do every month by any means, but we toyed around with having a cleaner for a while, and then we got rid of our cleaner because it just wasn't working out, and so I went and bought a load of cleaning supplies to inspire me to take on the cleaning myself. The £8.99 in Odds Farm Park was a toy that Nick picked up and wanted to buy for the baby. Oxfam was definitely for the baby as well. This Parsnippers Inn, oh my god, what was this? This was £6.99. We were at a soft play and there was a book reading by this amateur author. Is that a word? A nice way of saying it? By a self-published author. My baby crawled up and wiped a bogey onto the book while she was reading. And I had to crawl in front of all the other mums and kids and like take the bogey off the book. It was so embarrassing. Anyway, as we left the soft play, she was selling her book, and oh my god, I actually have it here. Oh, I can't show you because then you'll know who she is. It's just like a terrible book. Like, the illustrations are so bad. Her sister-in-law illustrated it, but I felt so bad that we bought the book. So that was £6.99. You will notice that there's no like clothes shopping here, no Vinted. On a typical month there would be some Vinted. If I hadn't spent money in Home Bargains, maybe we would have spent 40 quid on Vinted on baby clothes. And yeah, the reason I was able to stick to the £500 this month is because I didn't have any gifting to do, any new clothing items that I wanted to purchase. For example, in this current month we're in, I've just bought myself a new jumper for £60. So this month I'm more looking at like a £600 budget. I think I gave myself 675, I can't remember, whatever I said in the last video. Sorry that I'm talking so much with my hands, I feel quite like Italian today. So those are our three biggest categories: groceries, eating out, shopping. Next is transport. This has gone down a lot because I'm currently working completely from home again until my contract ends. So my transport was £45. In terms of how we split expenses between Nick and I, Nick normally covers like petrol and car related stuff. So this transport will just be when I take the baby into London on the tube or get the bus. Back in 2022, the transport was £123 because I was going into an office more regularly, I think. Entertainment last month was £22. This was tickets to Riverside Hub. In a similar vein, I also spent £8.50 on a baby class, so like 30 quid for like entertainment / baby classes, which was about the same as in 2022 when I spent £20.99. Apparently I put £11.49 into savings. This was probably just little like top-ups into my Monzo pots. Say I'm trying to stick to a £500 budget and I accidentally use a different card, like I spend £5 on my main current account, rather than transferring it out into my main account, I'll just put it into a Monzo pot, and I feel like it's a nice like cheeky way of topping up my sinking funds without too much stress. Bills is very small because, as I said back in 2022, it still stands, all my bills are linked to my joint account. That's like a fixed expense, so they come out of the budgeting for my overall salary, not for my £500 Monzo spends. So these bills were literally 2 separate parking charges. And then YouTube, £4.57. I spent £3.50 odd on TubeBuddy, which is an SEO tool for YouTube, and I spent like 99p on a digital product by a YouTuber on how to be a better YouTuber. I'll let you know if it pays off. So that is how I spent my £500 budget last month. Really, not too much has changed since 2022. The main difference is that I spent way more on groceries this month, and back in 2022 I had spent like £120 on a gift rather than groceries, but all the other categories are roughly the same, except transport's kind of gone down a bit. But yes, sticking to a £500 budget in this day and age is much harder than it was back in 2022. And like I said, in this current month, I think I've given myself like 675 because I did have some clothing items that I wanted to buy. I think a more typical month for me would now be like £600 to £700 would be more realistic. And that's not including, like, if we were to go on holiday, I don't think that would be included in the £600 in terms of like spending money and things. I would budget separately for that, which is why I'm always so keen to find good side hustles. And guys, I just got my first sponsored post on TikTok. And I literally just posted it today. Everyone's being so nice about it over there. And I'm getting paid roughly around the monthly amount that I just spoke about. Don't know if I'm allowed to say exactly, but you get the gist. So that is super exciting. In terms of monetizing YouTube, this is where we're at. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far into the video, please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.